Welcome to Radio Express World News, presented by Vibha Ramesh, Los Angeles, United States.
Today's news report commences with what the United States economy looks like with less than a month to go before Election Day. The pandemic-affected economy looks bad with mounting layoffs, suspended job growth, and no signs of monetary help of any kind being extended to struggling families. And it's more than 2 months now that businesses and households received any unemployment benefits. Soon after President Trump unexpectedly ended discussions on the stimulus bill on Tuesday, he requested the Congress to revive a lapsed loan program that could benefit small businesses and also approve the airlines fund along with another round of stimulus checks. However, of the three items, only discussion on the funds for airlines were carried out on Wednesday. Even as the president returned to the White House and advisors began planning his travel events, health experts warned that he is entering the most critical phase of the disease, one that could take a turn for the worst for some. Meanwhile, with a high positivity rate in parts of the East Coast, schools in Boston have delayed their plan to reopen schools for in-person instruction. That said, the new coronavirus restriction imposed by Governor Cuomo in Brooklyn has irked the Orthodox Jewish community as the restrictions go into effect before Shemini Atzeret, an important Jewish holiday. However, the New York City Mayor de Blasio confirmed that the new restrictions will be set in motion on Thursday. Moving on, French authorities have warned local hospitals of a rapid influx in coronavirus patients as over 40% of patients required intensive care support in Paris. To put them in numbers, out of more than 2,300 COVID-19 patients that are hospitalized in Ile-de-France, nearly 450 of them required intensive care. This has led to some hospitals postponing surgeries in order to make room for COVID-19 patients. Meanwhile, the head of the health authority for Ile-de-France fears that hospitals will soon run out of space if the restrictions that were imposed last week do not make an impact. And with France's increasing number of infections with 19,000 new single-day cases, the president may consider reinstating more restrictions. Quoting his words as told to French television, "We are not in a normal time, and we won't be for several months." Even as India crossed the 6.8 million mark in total caseload, Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed confidence in the strength of COVID warriors. He appealed to the public to maintain social distancing and wear masks wherever appropriate in order to lead the country into eliminating the virus. Moreover, with the festival season around the corner, he plans to launch the Jan Andolan campaign for COVID-appropriate behavior. And today being the foundation day of the Indian Air Force, Mr. Modi commended the valor and commitment of its soldiers. The government of Scotland announced on Wednesday that the country will be subject to more stringent restrictions in order to avert another lockdown. These restrictions are expected to impact the hospitality industry with the closing of pubs and cancelling of events around Glasgow. As per the existing mandate, pubs and restaurants will have to close service at 6 p.m. starting Friday. With a single-day record of over 1,000 new infections on Wednesday, the spike is more prominent in those over the age of 70. Subsequent to the announcement of the restrictions, the government will provide a fund of £40 million to businesses that will face a setback because of the new measures. And in Germany, domestic travelers will be restricted from renting rooms if they have returned from any of the hotspots. To this extent, state governors have stated that travelers coming from any of those areas where cases surpass 50 per 100,000 people in a week will not be allowed to rent a room in a hotel or resort unless they provide proof of testing negative of the virus. The new rule comes at a time when families plan to travel during the 2-week school break. Other restrictions in place include the compulsory closing of bars and restaurants by 11 p.m. Over to Belgium. 2 out of the 3 Belgian regions reported infections from government officials. To this end, members of the governments of Brussels and Wallonia are in quarantine following the report of 2 ministers that tested positive for the virus. Even before the release of this news, the country had limited social interactions to 3 people outside of families, and Brussels ordered its bars and cafes to shut down for a month. While several countries are entering or are in the midst of a second wave, New Zealand believes to have successfully eradicated the virus after its second lockdown. In other words, there were no new cases linked to the cluster in Auckland for 10 days in a row. Subsequently, the government has ordered the lifting of the last of its restrictions in Auckland. This means New Zealanders will now be permitted to hop onto public transport without using masks and engage in social gatherings without maintaining social distance or wearing masks. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern calls this strategy a swift science-based policy that barters weeks of lockdown for an emergence to full economic activity. Over to Italy, the government announced a new order on Wednesday that mandates the compulsory use of face masks across the country. Despite opposition from the right wing, the decree was approved by the parliament yesterday with the hope of preventing a second wave of virus cases. In effect, people will have to wear masks in all indoor private spaces and in outdoor spaces where social distancing cannot be observed. That said, children aged 6 and under and people practicing sports will be exempt. The new mandate has been issued as the country recorded 17,252 cases over the last 7 days. And in Greece, the court verdict that ruled the neo-fascist Golden Dawn was a criminal organization in disguise filled the court complex with excitement and jubilation. Several thousand people that assembled at the court complex with crossed fingers and inexplicable anticipation broke into smiles and applause on the announcement of the verdict. In the words of a leading anti-racism activist, "It's official. Golden Dawn is over. The conviction is overwhelming. The mood here today is resonant of the celebrations we saw with the liberation of Athens from the Nazis. It's a great day." Bringing you the last from Mexico, Hurricane Delta made a landfall leading to the evacuation of several thousand people. Delta hit the coast of northeastern Mexico in the wee hours of Wednesday morning and several thousand residents and holidaymakers were evacuated. According to the National Hurricane Center, the Category 2 storm swooped in with an estimated maximum winds of 105 miles per hour. With that, we come to the end of this news bulletin. Thank you for joining us. Please stay tuned for the next program on Radio Express.
To receive Radio Express English news and English programs in your WhatsApp, please send a WhatsApp message, English programs, to 90727 95547. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Radio Express. Thank you.